Well, welcome back. Joining us in the studio again, one of our favorite visitors, Mr. Alex Bacquie. He is, of course, the Chief of Road Operations for the county. And we're back with you because we're talking about one of my favorite things, which is
snow.
Snow.
And we have so many questions.
One of Alex's favorites, too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
It's your time. This is your time to come on Weekend Review. So already very exciting. This December, we've already had 2 snow events.
That's right.
Which I think is great. Tell us about what you had to do when that happened. What's the process?
Okay. Well, the 2 events we've had so far are relatively modest. We benefited from warm pavement temperatures, so they weren't here very long. And the normal process that we go through, whether it be a smaller event or a major event, typically we're watching the forecast a week out, trying to see what kind of severity the event will be. Pavement temperature is very important. Obviously, how much snowfall, whether we're going to get ice mixing in. And that helps us sort of determine some of our preparations. But there are really 4 areas that we're going to look at each time. How's our material? Do we have enough salt, calcium chloride, salt brine? Those are some of the tools that we use. What condition is our equipment in? Are we ready with plow trucks, spreaders? Are all the trucks up and functional? So
is the coffee ready?
That's important because
you got 12-hour shifts.
These guys are working
Everyone's
long hours, so we might be bringing in coffee and some food, making sure cots are available if it's a bad event because folks might not be able to travel home. So those are kinds of considerations that we do. Backup generators, because we lose power sometimes on a larger event, so that's a check that we go through. So we talked about materials and equipment. Staffing is a big one. So we're looking around at, is this going to be an event that the Bureau of Highways or Public Works can handle, or is this an event that's going to require Recs and Parks and Central Services and Department of Inspection permits, as well as DPW, and we may be mobilizing all of those folks across agencies. So that's
the biggest question is, do you have to bring in Scott Blizzard?
Scott Blizzard.
Is that a name or what? Scott Blizzard.
He is an institution.
He's a big deal in highways.
That's right.
Shout out to Scott Blizzard.
Shout out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
That's perfectly all right.
Got to do a shout out. Best name in the department.
There you go. I mean, Blizzard, you can't get any better than that.
Yeah, his fate was sealed.
That's right. So he came to the right place. He works for us, and he kind of anchors the call center. So in those larger events, that's another consideration that we plan for, is staffing up a call center so that if folks have concerns or their road's icy, or there's an accident, or they've run out of heating fuel and they don't know what to do, they might call into the call center, and we have operators there to answer. Materials, equipment, staff, and then contracts is another big part, because we rely on contractors to cover a lot of our snow routes.
Yeah, tell us about that, because I understand we're doing something a little different this year. More contractors this year.
Well, more contractors. What we've been working on is some additional snow contracts, and ultimately bringing up the number of contractors so that we can move into the communities and deliver service more quickly. So you might say in the year 2000, it was mostly just the county fleet, supplemented by a small contractor force. And then we moved up to essentially 2 pieces of contract equipment for every piece that the county operates during a winter storm. And now we're up to 3 pieces of contract equipment for every piece of county equipment. So it's a force multiplier. It makes the plow force substantially broader, allows us to work on your main arterial roads in front of the hospitals and all the roads that everyone travels on, as well as the community collector streets that cross the county and then move quickly into the local community roads more quickly.
I mean, you guys were prepared. Even if it was smaller events, I was already seeing roads that were pre-treated, and you were just ready for what was going to happen. I like to call this was a pretty snow. They were light and fluffy
And
snows.
it happened on a Saturday, which is always good.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even, you were saying you look for snow that it might be mixed with ice. I think we had a little bit on that Friday, but
we did.
For the most part,
not too bad. Always difficult when everybody is leaving work.
Yes.
Or doing holiday shopping. Schools are leaving, and the snow comes in right then.
You don't want that.
Realistically, we're looking to restore roads to their safe travel condition when the snow stops. It is difficult in the midst of it in rush hour to have all the roads handled at the same time. So we ask for folks' patience to slow down, take consideration of the conditions. But I think all in all, we all got through it very well, and people were on their way, and we had very few calls. We had some follow-up that night and on Saturday. some icy patches, but it went pretty well. And the first storm, I have to say, was very pretty because it came down. Nothing really stuck to the road, just to the trees and the grass, and it was a perfect event from my point of view.
And no rush hour.
And no rush hour.
Yeah. And speaking of being prepared, the white lines that folks see
Yes.
on the pavement, tell us about what we're seeing.
Sure. Well, that's a result of our pre-treating roadways before the snow or other frozen precipitation comes in. And that is a result of us applying brine, which is just a mix of water and salt, onto the roadways. And that water dries and it leaves just a powdery salt residue. And so essentially there's some material there already waiting for the snow to come. And that's going to immediately start working on the road surface, melting the snow, making sure that road conditions are safer to travel, and importantly that the road doesn't bond and freeze to the road surface, which makes it very hard to plow off.
Yeah.
So that way when we come by with the snow plows, when there's enough snow to plow, it's easier to push off and we can get back to bare pavement more quickly. Another positive to that, besides us being able to get the road back to a bare pavement condition more quickly, we use less salt overall, and that's beneficial to the environment.
I like that. Well, we all like that.
It's good for the
DPW.
environment, absolutly.
Very true.
You don't want to use more salt than you need.
That's
No.
right. That's
in your
right.
diet or in the environment.
That's right.
Put the salt on a diet.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about how much it costs to remove snow. How much does it cost annually? How much did it cost last year?
Okay. Every year is pretty different. You can just look at the snow totals, and then you may have some events that don't have a lot of snow, but it's icing, and we still have to put crews out, or we're just being prepared. And an event that National Weather Forecast might say you've got 6 inches coming and we get a ½ inch. So
Right.
it's always hard to know exactly what you're going to get. So in line with that, the costs vary quite a bit. I'd say we typically would spend anywhere from $1 million a year to $15 million, and that was in the 2010. That was our record.
Snowmageddon. 15 million.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Our budget director, Mr. Hammond, who doubles as Santa Claus, Santa does not like it when we get a foot of snow, because that is expensive and you can't plan for that and you got to pay the piper.
That's right.
Yeah, and like you were saying, it's really all over the map. And interestingly enough, and these were crazy numbers to look at, before the interview, we actually took a look at the history back to 2010 of our snowfalls, with both for an entire season and an annual event, and they're all over the place.
Yes, good segue, Kristen. Here we go. This is what everyone's been waiting for.
I've been waiting for this.
Okay, so I'm going to pull out the notes.
Okay.
I got notes, and
Dave, take it away.
Chuck's going to put the numbers up on the screen for us, but I'll just give you a brief.
Are we going from most recent back?
Yeah, so the way we do this is we're going to make our predictions. We're each going to make our predictions, and we are going to predict how much we're going to get, the most we're going to get in a single event.
A single event.
And then the most we're going to get, how much we're going to get for the whole season.
And we're counting what's already fallen, which is 3.9.
And Kristen has requested we not do Price is Right rules.
We're not doing Price is Right.
Which means you can knock somebody out by picking 1 inch.
It's got to be the closest.
Because they go over. So we're not doing that this year. We're going to do whoever's the closest. So real quick, Chuck's going to put the numbers up on the screen. The snow we had recently, 2.6 inches, was actually a record for that early in the year. So interesting to know if that affects your prediction at all, that we've had a record for early in the season. Now the record for the most in a season is 77 inches in 2010. So I'm going to go through it.
That was a great year, 2010.
We're looking at it on the screen. 2016, 35 inches. Last year, only 3 inches. Wimpy.
That is wimpy.
And then the single event record is 29.2 inches, which, believe it or not, happened just 2 years ago in 2016.
2016.
So,
Yes.
Who's going to go first? Alex, why don't you go first? What is your prediction for our total in one single event, which can be 2 days, 3 days, and our total for the season?
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking.
Okay.
He's stalling.
So what's your method?
My method is, I think we are going to see a continuation of the volatility that we've seen, which is we've sort of had record highs and lows given the time of the year. Some obviously very mild days, and we've had a couple of cold snaps. And those are going to come through the season and give us our snow. When we get into the deep freeze for these, 3 days or a week at a time. So I think we're going to get a good 5 or 6 events. So
I don't know
I'm
about that.
kind of using that as my template.
Okay.
In the end, I think we're going to end up around a normal 20-inch snowfall for the season out of those 5 or 6 events that we're going to see.
All right, so
20
your
inch
total is
total.
20,
Total,
and what is your single event?
Single event, I'm going to be positive and say 6 inches.
Okay.
positive.
That's not
Yes.
positive for Kristen.
No.
Okay.
All right, you want me to go next? Or
Yeah,
do
you
wanna
go next. All right, so 6
All right.
inches for a single event, 20 for the whole season.
So I saw there's not much pattern to the numbers, but I do think there is a chance that we get bupkis like we did last year. There's a chance that
Okay.
we get like not very much.
Okay.
We're not doing Price is Right rules,
Right.
so it doesn't really benefit me to go super low.
Oh,
And I
right.
know you're going to go high because you can't help yourself. And Alex went like right in the middle. So
can't help
I'm going to go with a single event of 12 inches,
Oh, man.
a foot of snow.
You're very close to mine.
A
Okay.
single event of 1 foot of snow.
Okay.
And I'm going to go with the record for the whole season. I'm going to go with 15 inches.
Wow,
Not
so
too
you're going
much.
for 12?
Okay.
Not too.
That doesn't make
12
sense.
in one. No, it does make
No,
sense.
because we've already had 4 inches fall, so 12 plus 4.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Let me revise
Thank
that.
you.
Okay,
You're
I'll
welcome,
go,
Kristen.
So I'll go with a 12 for the single event, and I'll go with
16.
16 for the season.
So one more snowfall for you.
One big one.
One big one.
And
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
I'm with Alex. I say 5 or 6 more events. My numbers are just higher than me.
I can't wait for this.
I am going to say a 14-inch single event.
Okay,
14-inch.
14.
And I am going to say 29.
All right,
whole
there you
season.
go. So Chuck put it up on the board there, what everybody's predictions are, so we can look back
Yes.
in April when
Yes.
it's nice and sunny and warm, and
And
we can
laugh.
see who was the smartest.
Because the almanac really let
Who
me
looked
down
at the
last
almanac?
year.
Did you look at the almanac?
I did not.
Did you look at the almanac?
I do look at the
Okay, what did the
almanac.
almanac say?
I didn't read it for this year
It said it's
because
going
it
to
let
snow
me
a
down
lot,
last
right?
year.
It said it's going to snow a lot. Is that what it said?
Pretty much, yeah. But-
Stupid almanac.
Well, whatever happens this year, we want everyone out there to be safe. Please show some courtesy around the plow trucks. If you're wondering again what those white lines on the road are, that's the brine that they put down for the
Get your
pre-treatment.
car off the street when you know it's going to snow.
Be safe.
Don't get
Very
all
helpful.
mad when the plow comes through after you
Yes.
shoveled your driveway. That's the way it goes,
Take
people.
things like trash cans and recycling containers back to your house so that the plows can get around your courts and your streets and
and stay
driveways.
home. Just
Yeah.
stay home.
If
It's
you
easier
can,
that way.
stay in.
It's
stay in.
Just easier for everyone to stay
Yes.
home.
Alex, I love when you were here. It means
Merry Christmas,
snow.
Thank you for
Alex.
having me.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you so much. Come
Always
back
a pleasure.
whenever. We'll be right back with more weekend review right after this. Don't go anywhere.